two, one. Action. So, you guys, hello, welcome Wednesday podcast. I'm so excited to be here in this space with you guys and with this incredible woman that we have brought into our little tribe for tonight. So, welcome to the Rising She Spotlight series, your space for weekly Wednesday night of woo-woo wisdom from guest speakers all over the world, literally, because beautiful Amanda is from New Zealand, so we like to bring them in from everywhere. So tonight we have Dr. Amanda Fu Ryland with us, and Amanda is a coach, an author, an NLP trainer with a doctorate in clinical hypnosis. And after experiencing heartbreak in her own life, she's on a mission to share with others the life tools that have really helped her to live the best life possible. And she's going to share all of that wisdom with us tonight. So we're so lucky. Welcome. Oh, it's kind of hard to hear you. But we heard you earlier.
Is that better?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a little bit. There we go.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
You hear me okay?
Yeah, it's a little quiet, but it's good. It's better.
I can raise my voice. Is that better?
You can yell. Yeah.
I come with a volume control.
Awesome.
So
well, we always... Oh, no, go.
Oh, we're so excited to have you, by the way.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here. Sunny New Zealand. It's lunchtime. And right after finishing this, I'm heading over the hill. I'm going camping in the wilderness.
Woo! That sounds so much fun.
So I'm really excited to share my lessons, particularly over the last 3 years, and what life's curveballs have taught me, and some coping strategies, because we all have life curveballs, you know, when we least expect them. They take our breath away. They don't make sense. You know, we sometimes can get angry at the universe. And I you know, if I can help a few people today with some very simple techniques, which are NLP based, then to me, my heart will swell and my camping trip will be all the better.
Yay, we love that. Love that. Well, before we kind of dive in, we like to ask this question to all of the women that come on. And so I'm really excited to hear your answer. And so that question is, what do you love about being a woman?
What do I love about being a woman?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I feel, well, personally, I love the kinship. You know, my favorite audience, and actually now my exclusive audience, is only female. So when I do keynote speaking, I'm speaking to female entrepreneurs, female mums, female elderly. I just love the fact that we get one another and we understand how we work. I feel as though my feminine life has been a roller coaster, because I was married for 5 years to a man. I was married for 19 years to a man. My husband sadly passed away, and then I fell in love with a woman. And Sarah and I were married last year in Portugal. So I've been the feminine, and then, you know, I get to my life partner, my lover, my best friend, my hero is a wonderful woman. So I just love being a woman. I think we get each other. We are egoless, and therefore it makes more room for love and nurturing and kindness and empowerment and all those things. So the reason I'm saying it, my voice is kind of breaking, because I'm passionate about that.
That
Beautiful.
So good. Yeah. That really touched my heart. That was really beautiful.
So oh, excuse me. Now I have a cracking voice. No. So in our community here, we love learning about new things. Love it. And I got a feeling that there are some people in the group that are like, what is this NLP? We're a little intro to it too, so we're really excited to learn about it tonight from you. How you got started, maybe a little breakdown of what exactly it is for us trying to get our feet wet in it.
Totally. I mean, it's an adventure. I've been in human development since I was 19 years of age. So I worked for the Estee Lauder Corporation, which owns Clinique. And look, if you walk into any department store, the Estee Lauder Corporation owns 50% of the perfumery department. So I had a wonderful 16 years career with them as a training director. And when I left there, I thought, you know, even though Lauda gave me the best training to help others, I didn't feel that I had a really good toolbox. So I did my life coaching with Newcastle University and started coaching. And I was like, no, I'm still missing something. It's too conscious. You know, how can I really help somebody to create change at an unconscious level? And so a girlfriend a load of friends of mine came out to Portugal, and we sat around the pool and we're all reading our books. And my friend who's in HR threw this book across the pool and said, you need to read this. It's NLP. I don't really know what it stands for. And I was like, neuro-linguistic programming? What the hell is that? Anyway, I read the book and I was hooked. I was like, I need to study this. So what is NLP? Look, the title's not catchy. It was created by a professor of linguistics and a professor of mathematics in 1974. And they weren't into marketing. I mean, why would you call something so wordy and lengthy and it's not catchy and nobody can remember it? What it is essentially is the psychological model will study people that have a phobia. So the psychological model will analyze hundreds of people, thousands of people that have a phobic response to a certain stimulus, which is great if you want to learn about phobias. What John and Richard did, the founders of NLP, was they went, you know what, why study people that are in the problem? Why don't we study people that have got themselves out of the problem? So they interviewed like hundreds of people that had out-thought a phobia. And they realized there was a correlation. They were doing the same thing in their neurology. They were doing the same thing over and over and over and getting a fantastic result. So what NLP is, if the easiest way to describe it is it's a study of excellence. It's looking at people that have done things superbly well, finding out what went on in their neurology and creating a strategy to help others. So, you know, I have a book that's like this thick full of NLP techniques, depending on what the person needs. And I suppose the simplest thing is you've got your iPhone, you have an app. You know, if you decide you want to start yoga every morning, you get your app. If you don't like the app, you delete it. You install a new one. That's what NLP is. If you don't like the way things are working, delete the app, install a new one. Does that kind of answer the question?
It does. Can I kind of just go off of that? Well, it brought up a little thought for me. So it's working on the subconscious level, correct? So what if there's those things that maybe you're afraid of, or those patterns you get into from a subconscious level, but you're not even really aware of it, but you keep getting the same result because you're doing something you're not even aware of? Is there a way to use that to tap in and see what those patterns are and break them?
Absolutely. So, you know, this is my practice here in New Zealand, and now about 10% of clients actually physically walk in. A lot of our clients are virtual. Yeah. And the client will come with what they see as being a problem, but that's never the problem.
Yeah.
That's never the problem. That's only what they can spot at the tip of the iceberg. That's only what's going on consciously. And yet, you know, there's a wonderful Dr. Bruce Lipton, who wrote The Biology of Belief and various other books. His research says that 92% of our daily behavior comes from our unconscious or subconscious. I call it unconscious, but it's the same thing. Hey? Yeah. So, you know, we are basically just programmed. We learn our programming before we're the age of 7, because when we're learning from 0 to 6 or 7 years of age, there is no conscious mind. There is no gatekeeper. It's not neurologically being formed yet. So everything is like a sponge. That's why children can speak 3 languages, learn 3 languages, just absorb. The unconscious is all listening, all absorbing. So a lot of our programming is installed at that young age because there's no conscious gatekeeper stood there going, I don't agree. No, you're not allowed in here. That's a lot, you know. So everything's absorbed. So when we talk about outcome, the results that the person's getting in their life is the same result, they can never really know what the problem is because it's running unconsciously. And so what an NLP coach will do is ask specific questions and do specific tasking, if you like, which is where the client analyzes and thinks about things differently to uncover what's really going on.
That's so good.
It's just, you know, one of the things that I work in and I see myself as a specialist in this is changing limiting beliefs. Beliefs that are running in a person's life that create their reality, and yet it's just a belief. It's only a belief. It's not real.
Yeah, that's
so
huge.
What would be like the number one thing that you get most of the time, hands down, where people
hands down? Generally, it's sabotage behaviors. So the client's notes will say things like, "I keep attracting the same things into my life, whether it's a relationship, whether it's you know, not being successful in their chosen career." They sabotage, so self-sabotaging behavior. And what generally that leads to is a limiting belief that I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable. And it's running right at the very core of the person's being, because all our beliefs, all our learnings, all our values, all our habits are stored unconsciously. And so they consciously say, you know, I've tried to attract different people into my life, but I keep getting the same person. It's because their inherent behavior is coming from that limiting belief of I'm not good. So when it gets good, and life is good, you know what? They'll sabotage it, because that's not what they believe to be true of them. And yet it's paradoxical, it's crazy. You know, the conscious mind goes, what are you doing? It's coming from the unconscious. The unconscious always wins, always wins.
Wow, I find that completely fascinating.
Like, how many ahas can we have in one night? Like,
I know, holy cow, that is so good. I'm totally intrigued by all of this. It's just really.
It sounds like, and I actually read through your page, and you're like, I want people to understand I don't have a magic wand that I wave in front and it magically fixes it. But this is like, it kind of is. It's digging into like the really root of where it's coming from. So we're not running in those circles and those cycles that we get stuck in for years and years and years. And God, it's so needed.
I think a really, really good tip, and this is a real tip of the iceberg NLP technique, that actually I created because I wanted clients to catch the limiting belief running, you know, catching it running. And the moment you become an observer of your behavior, you're no longer part of the behavior. So what does that look like? You're going about your day, you know, and maybe you knock something over, or maybe you delete an email that you didn't need to delete, or maybe you misspelled something on a post. And the internal dialogue is, oh, you're so stupid. Why do you always do that? So what I encourage the client to do is go, hey, stop that. Move away and go, what do I believe about myself that makes me think that about me? What is that belief? You're not useful. And it's almost like, the way I describe it to my clients, it's like you're an Inspector Clouseau. You're like, aha, there you go, you naughty limiting belief. You're running again. I've caught you in the act. You know, it's like coming away, moving away from the behavior. And sometimes I get them to physically move away. Like if I'm start typing an email now, you know, and I go, oh, you know, that was stupid. Literally stand up and go, aha, I've caught you, you naughty limiting belief. You naughty limiting belief, I've caught you. You're not having your wicked way with me. And what that does is it stops the pattern from running.
Yeah.
Now that's just a tip of the iceberg. Look, when we get into belief change work, generally it's 3 sessions, boom, it's done. You know, but it takes 3 sessions. But that's just a simple technique to go, it's called a pattern interrupt. Very simple to pouring a glass of water over somebody's head every time they start to cry about a broken relationship. You keep pouring the water over their head, eventually they're going to start to laugh, or they're going to hit you. But either which way, it's a pattern interrupt. The same thing.
Yeah, I love that. That is so good. I mean, that's something that I've been practicing personally in my life, or trying to, is to become the observer. And even in like certain, you know, like conversations I'm having, or observing, why did I feel this way, or why did this trigger me, or, you know, like, and really trying to analyze it. But, you know, it's easier said than done, I will say. you know, especially when you've been stuck in that mindset for a long time, especially the not good enough, I'm not worthy, you know, I feel like so many women struggle with that. You know, even women that are really high level in their businesses or, you know, are really successful, they still have that little thing that comes in every once in a while that just eats them away. And they do have like self-sabotaging, you know, things that come out. So I really love that, that you talked about becoming the observer, because I think that's really important.
And I think the more that somebody gets used to being the observer, then it's all, like, at the end of the day, we're all neurological pathways. That's all we are. There's a start and an end. And in between is the behavior. Whether that's great behavior, whether that's something we want in our lives constantly, or whether it's something we don't want. It's just a start and a finish. And the more that behavior runs, the stronger that neural network gets. Mm-hmm. And so if we can interrupt it, then we kind of put some roadworks in the way, and we put a big JCB and a few traffic lights, and the behavior starts to get fragmented. So it's just, look, you know, it's very difficult to give a lot of detail in terms of a process when we're doing an interview, because it's an intimate process with a client. But that's a really helpful tip that you know, people can just go, hey, I spot that. And it will change. It will start to change the behavior and
So
the outcome.
good.
I think that's something that we kind of dive into a little bit here and there with, as soon as you acknowledge that feeling that you've suppressed, as soon as you just say, I see you, I feel you, you're here, then it already starts to diminish it. It's when you suppress it, it's like, I'm going to get louder, I'm going to get angrier, I'm going to get in your face. And so, yeah, such a beautiful technique to kind of tone it down, break it up. Very good. Something that we really like to tap into with the women that we bring on here is, what would you say is something that you passionately believe in that I would say society or most people don't really agree with or don't believe in?
The universe always knows best. And I took a decision when 9/11 happened. My brother was in Manhattan. He worked for the BBC and he was filming Kevin Bacon doing an interview. And, you know, like everybody, you know, we were all in shock. We couldn't believe what we'd witnessed. And what happened was really interesting for me, because my brother would ring us in the UK to get the lowdown on what the BBC were reporting on their news channels, because the American news channels were not reporting anything. And so I made a decision very quickly that I was not going to be influenced or programmed by any government-run establishments, because it was about instilling fear and gaining control. So I quite happily, every time I ran a training course, every time I went and spoke to a group of people, I'd say, don't watch the news, you're being controlled, you're being brainwashed. And so I went on this journey of so what is it, you know, we've been taught, well, certainly I was taught, you know, I'm 50 years of age, you know, the government know best, and watch the news and be well informed and read the Financial Times, and it's just a load of crap. So what I learned, particularly in the last 3 years, even with horrendous curveballs that did not make sense and sometimes still don't make sense, the universe always knows best. And if you wholeheartedly trust in that, then there will come a day where you'll get the learning, even if it's only at an unconscious level and you don't register it consciously. So that probably is my biggest thing. And, you know, I share that with people, and some people look at me like I've totally gone crazy and, you know, I've got a monkey on my head. And, you know, I don't really care, because for me, that's what I believe in passionately.
You're in good company here.
Yes. So, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're very much on the same track there.
Yeah.
But speaking of curveballs, so I mean, you've mentioned it quite a few times over the last 3 years. You've experienced quite a bit of them. So we really wanted to see, like, how did you handle those curveballs? What are some of the things that you did to move through these things in your life to come to where you are now. However you want to share that, just, if you want to share your PowerPoint thing that you have, you totally can, presentation, but if not, if you, either way.
I think talking about it's really cool.
Okay.
For me, married for 19 years to a beautiful man, life's hunky-dory, spending time in New Zealand, spending time in Portugal, running my business. And I do a lot of work for charities. So I support an orphanage in Bali, where I went and volunteered for a month and, just fell in love with the kids there. An incredible orphanage that when I went only had 60 children. Now they've got 92. So I do a lot of fundraising, and I just cycled from Land's End to John O'Groats, which is the length of the United Kingdom, and climbed the 3 highest peaks. And we did it in 10 days, and we raised lots of money. And I got back to New Zealand, and I just went for a routine checkup, just like, oh, your blood pressure's a bit high. And anyway, lo and behold, I had kidney cancer. So, there I am, as fit as I've ever been in my life, feeling invincible, and I've got kidney cancer. And I was like, well, what is this about? What is this teaching me? And I'd never even been in hospital apart from to visit friends or, visit my dad, never broken anything, all that kind of stuff, healthy. And so what I decided to do was realize I wasn't in control. So I relinquished control, gave control to the universe, and decided the only thing I could control was my attitude towards it. And I was being told by lots of people to Google this, Google that, look at this, look at that. And I decided not to Google anything. I decided to put my trust in, I needed surgery, and the kidney needed to come out immediately. So I trusted the surgeon. It didn't fit with my model because I'm a self-healer. However, when it's life or death, I chose to go with the surgeon. And I trusted him implicitly. But what I did do is I reframed it in my mind. So rather than this being a scary episode, I looked upon it as an adventure I hadn't chosen to go on, but I was on it anyway. So go in with an adventurer's attitude, be curious, to the point where the morning of surgery, I asked the anaesthetist not to give me anything to calm me. I didn't need anything. Like, I was in their hands. I'd given all my trust to them. But I wanted to see the operating theatre. I wanted to meet all the staff that were going to be working with me. And, I went, they wouldn't let me walk. I have to go down on a gurney thing. But I got down there, and they're all there, these beautiful people with their vibrant hats and their little badges that identify them and who they are, and the music that they're going to listen to throughout the surgery. And I just learned so much by having that curiosity around that. So that was the first curveball. And then the day after surgery, my husband was there, and, beautiful, kind, all those things that your life partner is. And if somebody had tapped me on the shoulder and said, a year tomorrow, Keith will die, I'd have gone, nah, but, he's healthy. I'm the one that's had the cancer. Like, what's this all about? And he did. He died a year and a day later of, again, that disease. We entered into it positive because we had such a fantastic result with me. And what I learned to do really quickly was delete other people's stories from my life. Because all of you that have experienced life, which we all have, whether it's a divorce, whether it's losing a family member, whether it's losing a pet, whatever it is, what people tend to do is they come in and they share their story. And somehow they think that's helpful. And it's not always helpful. Because there's only you that experiences your journey. Nobody else can experience it like you experience it. So I learned to form something called a delete button. And my delete buttons, I can show you my delete button. This is my delete button. So bear with me 1 second. My trackpad's a bit misbehaving, so bear with me. So your delete button can be various different things. Let me just find the guys and share that. Oh. Seems to have lost. Oh, there you are. That's good. So, There we go. So your delete button, can you guys see that? Can you see this? Can you see
Now we can.
Yep,
Yeah.
now.
Yeah? So your delete button can look like this, or it can look like this. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Mine looks like that. And the reason that I developed that was, again, I read an awesome book called The Mind Virus. And I developed this delete button because I just felt that so many people are sharing things that weren't particularly abuse to me. So I would just in my neurology imagine my delete button, and in my head just go delete, delete, delete. Because our brains are designed to learn, our brains are designed to find solutions. And what I felt was that by allowing somebody else's story to come into my neurology would adopt that. So I became very selective over what I allowed in and what I didn't allow in. And if I didn't feel it floated with my values, then I would delete it. So a really simple example is I run marathons. I'm running one in a month's time. It's a mountain marathon here in New Zealand. And lots of people say to me, hey, Amanda, you should stop running marathons because your knees are going to get really... And I just go, delete, delete, delete inside my neurology because it doesn't serve a purpose for me. And yet what I think the other option is to go, oh, yeah, and kind of ignore it. But you're still agreeing. Your unconscious is still agreeing. The unconscious doesn't know the difference between sarcasm. It takes everything at face value. So if you're saying yes, yes, it believes that. So that was one of the easiest things that I developed. So I lost Keith, and then I realized that I love being in a relationship. I love the institution of marriage. I love it that much. I'm on my third marriage. Third and last one, only through losing beautiful Keith. And I fell in love with Sarah, and it's, people were saying to me, you're grieving, you're not thinking straight, you never had a relationship with a woman before. And I was just like, well, no, I know what I feel. I love this person and I want to spend the rest of my life with her. So, guess what? I'm going to marry her. And yes, I'm 50. And yes, we're starting to have a family. We're doing IVF right now. And so many people are going, oh, you're too old, you're 50. I mean, your kids are going to...
I'm so excited for you. I'm so glad you hit the bullshit button on people saying that. That is so good for you. And I also just want to say cheers to you for stepping up and saying it doesn't have to be about the gender that you love. It's about the person that you love. 100%. It's so beautiful.
Absolutely. And we've lost some friends along the way, and that's okay.
That's okay. We've lost some friends along the way.
Yeah.
Happens.
We'll do that. And I suppose people will say, well, they weren't really friends. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think at the time they were. It's just that their journey is different to mine, and it doesn't fit with their journey anymore, and that's cool. Wish them well and wish them love and happiness and all those things. But yeah, sometimes you lose people, and that's okay.
Couldn't agree more with that.
Whew, I'm like getting choked up over here. I had surgery this last fall, and so it brought me back to that moment. And I tried to do the whole self-healing. I can make this tumor go away, and it got to the point where it was getting too large, too uncomfortable, and just like what you said, going into the surgery room and seeing their faces, I was like, oh boy, thank you. You helped me heal a little bit more tonight from that event. So I want to ask you, we love asking this question of every single woman that comes in here, is this path of entrepreneurship, right? It's ever evolving, our soul path here on earth. So for you, Amanda, what is your next right move?
It's not really the next move. It's a part of a progressive movement for me. So I learned these tools back in 2005 and would see, one person at one time, whether it's online or whether it's in my office. And I just thought, how can I help more people? Because there's just me. So what I did was I decided to license my brand and get qualified enough to be able to train other people to become coaches, to become an NLP, timeline therapy, and hypnotherapy coach. And so now we license the brand to 20 coaches worldwide. And so the next move is, it's just a constant next movement. So we're running courses here in New Zealand, not something we can do online because that has to be certain criteria that has to be witnessed live. So it's just, I want to have, 5,000 coaches around the world that are helping other people on a daily basis, whether that's in a group environment, whether that's one-on-one, because these tools create lasting change at an unconscious level and change people's lives. And my company's called Your Life Live It. I have these little bands. I don't know if you girls can see this, but it's a little business card, Your Life Live It, on the thing. So that's my passion. We've got one life in this life, and whether we, whatever people believe, I believe in past life regression. It's something I help clients with. I love past life regression. I love future life progression. However, some people don't have that model. So, it's right now, it's happening, it's here. And our lives are just made up by our days, by our hours, by our minutes. So, let's get those tools into as many people's hands. And that's my next move. It's always my next move. I suppose to put it into context, when we get to graduation day, and I know all those people that have shared that beautiful space with me for 7 days are qualified, they don't know it yet. And what I get them to do is stand up, and we all stand in a circle, and we put our arms around each other. And I get really teary when I say this, but I go, right now the world is a better place. It just doesn't know it yet. And the ripple effect that you are going to have, and the change that you're going to create, and the influence that you're going to allow people to receive, you have no comprehension of what that is right now. So that, to me, it makes me go goosebumps. That's
you're like moving me to tears. I'm like holding it. I'm holding it together. Oh my goodness.
It feels like a really big thing that's happening tonight. I think that the women that are listening present time, or if they're catching this in a future time from now, I think that you are activating exactly what you're seeking out to do here within this community, for sure.
Absolutely.
I think one thing I'd like to share also is, these curveballs keep coming, and they come in different shapes and sizes, and you obviously the reason they're called a curveball is you can't predict them. And Sarah and I were a month away from our wedding. We got married in July 2016 in Portugal, and we were on the last day of we were doing a 10-day bike ride from Courchevel in the French Alps to York, which used to be the capital of the UK. York, beautiful walled city. We were doing, we did that in 10 days. It was 100 miles a day, and we were raising money for the orphanage. And we were on our last day. So we're in a place called Boston, East Anglia. And we rose early, and it was just Sarah and I and two friends. Actually, my late husband's best friend, Malcolm, who's 65. You look at him and go, there's no way that guy can cycle all that, all that distance. And, he's as fit as a fiddle. And we woke to a phone call. Sarah's mum, who was 60, lived in Perth, Western Australia. And she's a big diver, very, very experienced diver. And she'd gone diving on Sunday morning and was tragically killed by a great white shark, diving. And we got that news in the morning, and we flew straight to Perth, obviously, to help and support the family. And again, the toolbox, the NLP toolbox came out because Sarah spoke at a mum's memorial in Perth. She spoke at a mum's memorial in the UK. Doreen was a lecturer at university teaching young people to become nurses for premature babies in the ICU unit. And Sarah just, she just spoke so beautifully about a mum in her memory, and has set up a charity to support single parents to go through the scholarship, to learn to become ICU nurses. And that's now our new charity. That's what we support. So it's helping people that otherwise would not be able to do that course at uni in Perth. And so, you know, I give testament to Sarah, because what do you do with that? You know, what do you do with that? A month before we get married, a mum's killed in such a devastating, horrendous way. And, you know, she just had to find the good, had to find a way to help other people. And we're doing a half Ironman at the weekend here in New Zealand. I'm running a marathon in a month's time to raise more money to help single parents, not just females actually, although they have been women so far, to create a better life and save lives. Yeah. So yeah, it's just, and it is the toolbox. It's just being able to compartmentalize, deal with the emotion when it needs to be dealt with, and be able to function when you need to function.
But talk about a butterfly effect. I mean, being able to harness that energy, and instead of going into like this massive depression over losing your parent, which is what I did, and being able to speak eloquently at their funeral. I got up and I spoke at my mom's funeral, and you wanted to be eloquent in your mind when you're writing it out, and you're like, this will be beautiful. And then you get up there and literally tripping over the words you want to say to express the legacy they left behind because you can't keep it together. You know, it just, that alone is incredible. And then to be able to create something so wonderful and so needed, still trying to keep it together. So, God, so amazing. So amazing.
Yeah, it's and we say to ourselves, what did that teach? What did we learn? How have we grown? How have we grown from that experience? Losing a parent in that way is just, you know, I mean, you've got more chance of being killed by a vending machine. We even looked up the odds. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, it really is.
My goodness. Well, not to totally shift gears, but I'm going to shift gears just a little bit, because there's a lot of women entrepreneurs in the space that we hold. We tend to attract that type of woman into our space, a spiritual entrepreneur, really wanting to break free of what we've talked about, what society says we have to do in that 9 to 5, and holding that over our heads. And is there any really great little tip or advice that you can give to that woman that is wanting to just really step out there, and she has a gift and she wants to share it and she wants to turn it into her passion in her life? So any tips that would help her out starting out?
I truly believe that passion is so powerful. It's so powerful that everything else just gets out of the way. And yet in your passion, there are roadblocks, there are stumbling blocks. And what my encouragement would be is to wake each day and give gratitude for finding the passion. So many people never have that honor, never have that privilege to connect with what they're passionate, what the reason they're here, what their legacy will be. So many people are in that 9 to 5 job, working in a job they hate to pay the bills, to, you know, make ends meet. And so the first thing would be give gratitude for the universe connecting you with your passion. Give thanks for that. And to walk in that passion, be true to who you are. That's where the delete button comes in really handy. So walk in that, immerse yourself, swim in it, bathe in it, because it is you. And the third piece of advice would be, if your passion helps other people, then you will be successful. That's it. Simple.
I'm just in a puddle over here, you guys. So beautiful.
It's just tingling, like just, oh, so good. Well, like, I'm just like, sorry, I'm just like trying to pull it together over here, because that was such a great answer. We want to thank you so much for joining us. Honestly, this has been a complete honor to have you in this community. You're such a beautiful, beautiful spirit. And I just, I'm so happy that we got to, be in contact with you and have this experience. But I want our tribe to know where they can find you and get in touch with you, because I know so many women are going to want to just be like, they're going to want to connect with you. So please share that with
us. The easiest way to find me and our beautiful community of coaches is that basically it's just yourlifeliveit.com. So simple, yourlifeliveit.com. We've got a beautiful new website with lots of interesting facts around NLP. So, people are curious and they want to learn more. They can look at, frequently asked questions. There's heaps of stuff in there. And we've got, the top 5 areas that we work with, which is, stress, depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and information around that. So I would just encourage people to visit yourlifeliveit.com and just email me, amanda@yourlifeliveit.com. Flick me an email. Let's connect. I have lots of wonderful free content that I want to share with people, from hypnosis, 15-minute hypnosis around, just being able to relax, to helping people sleep better, to helping people eradicate patterns that are not serving them. So, of course, I run a business, but I'm very much into good quality free content and letting people have things that really do make a difference.
Amazing. So amazing. Well, definitely, Mandy, you'll have to hang out underneath the video that's going in the tribe right now. There's lots of comments, lots of questions, so you can kind of see who's reaching out to you through there too. There's a lot that came in throughout the call. Thank you, great ladies, for all of your questions and comments. So I think we'll wrap it up there. And we just want to thank you again, Amanda, for coming in tonight. It's been a true blessing. It's incredible what happens every single week on this podcast. It's like the right person comes in at the right time. It is so remarkable. So thank you for gracing us this evening with your woo-woo wisdom.
I'm humbled and I'm honored to share this space with you, and just thank you so much for the opportunity to hopefully help people and catch him out.
Yes.
Get out of my neurology. Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to all the ladies tuning in over at the Rising She Tribe. We'll catch you again next Wednesday for another podcast where we interview a lady on her woo-woo wisdom. We'll see you guys again soon. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.